What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Today's video is about Game of Thrones. I thought I would go ahead and attempt to make a video on Game of Thrones. I'm by far not one of those psychic wizards on Reddit that predict every single thing. However, psychic wizards have been wrong all of a sudden because no one saw, except apparently 2 people on Reddit from like 2 years ago, that predicted Arya would kill the Night King, but no one assumed this would happen. And I guess this was Game of Thrones' way of putting a twist. They were like, okay, everyone already knows that this is gonna happen and the Night King is gonna get killed by Azor Ahai and all this, and they were like, screw it, let's just make Arya kill her and make the feminists happy. But like at the same time, that goes against everything. My second pet peeve that everyone's talking about is the fact that it was super dark, and I can prove it was super dark because look at this shot. This is a random shot, and this is a lit up shot, right? There's like candles everywhere, and Tyrion's face is barely visible. And the same goes for like, I'm gonna just jump around here. Look how dark this is. Can you tell what's going on here? If I show you random scenes, see, this one's kind of brightly lit up, but like there are scenes where it almost like this is a scene that is supposed to be kind of lit up. This is the Tyrion and of course Sansa moment, and this isn't even lit up at all. Why did they choose to make the entire thing dark? I understand if some moments of it were dark, but come on. At the same time, here's another pet peeve of mine. This made literally no sense to me. They look at the knife and then they look at each other, and the audience would have been shocked. Like if Game of Thrones wanted to do what classic Game of Thrones does, they would have done it. So either one of them would have killed each other, or if they killed themselves in that moment, oh my god, Game of Thrones, the internet would have exploded in a different way. Everyone would be talking about this, and no one would even care about the fact that Arya killed the Night King. I guarantee it. But they didn't. They just had this kind of moment. They just looked at each other like, yeah, you're my wife apparently at some point, but we're not anymore, so let's just look at each other and hold this knife that Arya gave me, and why not? I don't know. That made no sense, so that was an infuriating scene to me. Here was the other thing, Theon. The people who died, the reason that the Game of Thrones world is really ticked off right now, not the actual world, but the fan base world, is because Theon over here it's like he should have died ages ago. I hate to be that guy. I know a lot of you guys love him and all that, and he's like an amazing character with an amazing arc, and he is. I'm not gonna lie, he is. But at the same time, he's just like, cool. He died. That's great. Like, I'm not gonna freaking shed tears over it. It's cool, I guess. And the same thing with the scene with Jorah, and as you can see, he dies as well. At the same time, here's the other problem. Like, both of them died, but their deaths kind of seemed pointless. Like, Arya comes and kills the Night King 2 minutes after Theon, just stands up and gives his life for all this. So basically, if she showed up 2 minutes earlier, Theon would have been fine. Like, okay, that kind of murders the spark that I had, right? And the same thing with Jorah. Like, here we got like innocent old Daenerys, swinging this little black knife thing, and it's like, okay, cool. Like, once again, are we really trying to like please the feminists here? Like, what's going on here? What's the whole point of that? Why isn't Daenerys like doing something more? What is her purpose? And this brings me to the overarching point. Jon Snow, Tyrion Lannister, and Daenerys are the main characters. Like, they are the ones that are supposed to things are supposed to be from their perspective. And the whole thing starts off, I guess, to trip us up in a way. The whole thing starts off from Sam's perspective, which was cool in a way, and he's kind of just like running around, kind of crying and yelling and screaming and just overall being like, I don't know, he seemed like a little kid in this. And so I guess a lot of the fan base is just overly ticked off at the fact that here we are at this massive battle, and the other thing, not only Tyrion Lannister, but basically we, all in all, just did not seem to get any main things happening from the main characters. A lot of people are saying Bran did absolutely nothing, and you're right. There was another random scene that, like, it was there, and then they didn't continue it. It felt like they threw in scenes in here, and it's as if they ran out of time, so they just chopped the scenes in half and just expected us to assume what happened. It felt like in the last episode where Tyrion and Bran are about to have this massive discussion and whatnot, and then they never have anything. They just talk, like they just have tea. What do they talk about? We have no idea. The same thing happened here with Bran. He calls us ravens, and we think in our heads, like, we think he's gonna warg into a dragon, or he's gonna warg into ravens and he's gonna surround the Night King and kill him somehow, or he's gonna like some of us even assumed he would warg into the Night King and this would be some massive reveal. Nothing. He just, it never continued. He turned into ravens, and then the birds got shot up and died into flames. What? What? Again, I'm just jumping around here. There are scenes just, if you just skip around, it's just so dark that like half these scenes are just black frames when you really look at it. It's crazy. Now, I don't want to completely bash on the episode. This was amazing, where Melisandre comes out of nowhere and then she lights everyone's swords on fire, and it just looks spectacular, absolutely stunning. But here's the other thing. Then a lot of people, a lot of the fandom is arguing, whoa, 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 whoa. So you're telling me Melisandre does all this, hikes all the way here on her horse and lights everyone's swords on fire, and then they just charge? But why would they charge? That battle plan makes absolutely no sense. Why wouldn't you wait? So if you get somewhat taken down, you have people behind you. The battle plan made no sense too. So from all regards, it was just annoying. Did it look amazing? Yes. From a spectacular standpoint, it made every sense. And some people I heard are talking about the fact that this was done on purpose. Sapochnik, who directed this episode, did this because Emmy nominations are coming out, and they basically told him, we need to make this look insane, we need acting to be on point, and we need cinematicness to be on point. And plot, whatever, the show is ending, it only matters to such an extent, right? So this, I guess, is the result of that, which is kind of sad. But with that said, I loved it. It looked amazing. And another brilliant part of this was as we watched them slowly just run in, and as the swords kind of just blew out one by one by one by one, that was kind of terrifying. That was the first showing of the sheer might of the Night King. Now that brings me to my next point. The Night King overall, right? So the Night King is this massive character that for 8 seasons now is hyped up to be this almost unstoppable being. And I get it, they might argue that this was the longest battle in the history of TV, and so the Night King got something. Like, we didn't just completely destroy him, but at the same time, that was his army, right? The Night King himself didn't do much. I want to call this episode, like Reddit does that thing where every once in a while they survey people, and I called this episode the murder of theories, because that's literally what it was. And a lot of people assumed the Night King wasn't going to be in this period, and that was going to be kind of cool, you know, like, can the army survive without the Night King and his ice dragon and all that? And what if he goes to King's Landing and murders Cersei or something, or even brings Cersei back somehow as a Ice Queen? There were so many theories. And this is the first episode ever where not a single theory was even remotely right. Every single theory, just someone flushed them down the toilet. It was the most hilarious thing to watch, and it took a day to process. Like, after I first watched this episode, it was spectacular. I was like, oh my god, there's ice dragons. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, especially this shot right here, if I can skip to it. Well, you guys can kind of see it on here, right? Oh, there it is. That shot was just stunning, and I was like, wow. After the episode, I was like, that was a really epic battle scene. I kind of watched Silhouette's battle for a little bit, but at the same time, I got it. Like, I was at the edge of my seat. It was thrilling, it was awesome, and it lived up to the hype in that regard. And then after like a few hours went by, I was like, wait a minute, nothing makes sense. Now, enough with the bashing, so back to something that I really, really loved. The way they set up Arya and Melisandre was brilliant. Like, Melisandre kind of popped out of nowhere, but at the same time, Arya just, you know, there was that scene where she was just roaming around the room and trying to be super quiet, trying to get to the exit, only to realize the exit is the entrance, and she's completely on the wrong side of the room. And when they were showing that, I was, like, genuinely scared for her. I was like, oh my god, this might be the end of her. That is terrifying. And this was really cool, because, like, it also showed, like, the characters, it worked out, because it woke up the Hound, and the Hound was like, whoa, Arya, that's like, I need to protect her and whatnot. So he runs in and he saves her and whatnot. And then Melisandre kind of pops up, and then she's like blue eyes at the end, you know, green eyes, blue eyes. And blue eyes, you know, Arya has always assumed that it would be like a person, but it ended up being the Night King. So I guess it was foreshadowing for a very long time. The other thing I heard was George R. R. Martin's favorite character is Arya. And so if George R. R. Martin truly has a different ending, to not spoil that ending and to get people to read the books, a more in-depth ending, one that actually, you know, adheres to what the fans want, to get people to read the books, he may have just told the directors, please don't end it this way, end it a different way, so I can write my own ending and people will still read my books and whatnot. If the books ever come out. He's like 9,000 years old. He's older than the Game of Thrones history itself. But with that said, if that happens, then that might make a little bit of sense as to why they just got Arya to do it and, you know, make people happy and whatnot. But at the same time, the fan base isn't very happy. Lastly, I want to get to my own little theory, which is, of course, the title of this video. I have a feeling they're not gone. I don't know why I have this feeling, but I just feel like Game of Thrones has a way of twisting things, and I don't, if any of you guys who are true fans know that there are three big twists that are supposed to happen. Like, I don't know, like the Red Wedding was one of, I don't remember the exact twists, but there's two of them that already happened. People know that, like, it's confirmed. There's one last one that's supposed to happen, and it hasn't happened yet. And we were expecting it to happen in this episode, and for some reason it didn't. So, like, Arya was cool. I guess you can consider that a twist, but if the director seriously think that was a twist, that was just kind of dumb. Like, we need a serious twist where, like, I don't know, Cersei turns into a Night Queen or something crazy happens like that. And I have a feeling the Night King is going to come back. You see, there's 3 episodes left. They're all really, really long. And if they take out Cersei in the next episode, and then at the end of the episode, for some reason, I don't know how, but remember this shot. I can't pull it up right now, but you guys know what I'm talking about. That infamous shot with Daenerys chilling by the throne and nothing around her, not a single person, just snow falling and snow all over the throne. But that's King's Landing. It doesn't snow in King's Landing. And if the Night King is gone, then why did they put that into the show? That is a moment from the show. I know a lot of people are like, Night King doesn't exist. It's in the books only. It's not in the Game of Thrones itself, like, show universe. But at the same time, why did they put that in there? That's an actual scene from a flashback Daenerys had. Is that all for nothing? Did they just throw that in the show for no reason? I have a feeling Cersei's plotline is going to end somehow next episode, and then the Golden Company is going to be part of Daenerys' world, and it's just going to be humans versus the Night King again. I don't know how he's going to come back. It might have something to do with Melisandre. I don't know why, because they did end that whole shot on her dying and kind of withering away. I feel like there's something here that we're missing. Feel free to leave a comment below. I don't really know yet. I'm sure plenty of people will come up with theories and whatnot on how this works, but things just seem like Game of Thrones wouldn't do this. I feel like they did this for just ticking off the fans, just to convolute things so much that we can't possibly predict the last 3 episodes, which we can't. If you think about it, all theories just got destroyed. It's the murder of all theories. I can't possibly think of anything can happen. King's Landing, Daenerys' army's all over the place, dragons are all over the place. Everything is kind of still there. All the cast is still there, which frustrated the heck out of everyone. People were supposed to die in this episode, but I digress. And at the same time, here we are with absolutely no way to predict what's going to happen next. Maybe that was their big idea. Maybe that's what they wanted in the end, to have the ending be so ridiculously random that no matter how much we tried, we couldn't possibly even try to predict it because we just wouldn't have time to. So all in all, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If so, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. This is going to be me logging off.